Thank you. You need a little more distance. You need a little more. Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Those of you here and those tuned in on your various devices, thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you on a very important day, on very important issues. We were prevented from speaking in the Parliament, and that is why we decided we will take this opportunity outside the Parliament, because I've always said we will deal with issues inside the Parliament and outside of the Parliament, and we will do so within the boundaries of our rule of law, the Constitution, and do everything that we can to uphold and defend our democracy and the rights of our citizens. So again, thank you very much. Today I regret to announce that TNT is now officially in the hands of a dictator. And that dictator is none other than Prime Minister Rowley. After sitting in utter silence, dumbstruck it seems, Prime Minister Rowley came after the fiasco that transpired in the Parliament today to begin another rant outside of the Parliament. All of that could have been done in the Parliament if they had not illegally taken away the right of MPs and senators to speak in the Parliament. What we saw in the Parliament, can you all please understand, it's distracting? Yeah, please. Thank you very much, thank you. Are we ready then? Yeah, for the movements, and can we please? Thank you very much, thank you. What we saw in our Parliament, our seat of democracy, should horrify every citizen in our country. Today marks one of the darkest days for our democracy. Historians and our future generations will look back on this attempt to shield a president, to shield a prime minister, and to shield a dishonored former police service chairman, police service commission chairman, from what would have been robust scrutiny in the hallowed halls of our Parliament. As you would be aware by now, we were not allowed to debate the very important Section 36 constitutional motion that all 19 opposition MPs had proposed. The Rowley administration has suffocated our democracy. Every time an opposition member rose to speak, the speaker or someone, whether on her instruction or not, they shut down the mics, thereby muting, muzzling, and stopping the voices of elected representatives of the people. By doing so, they deprived not just the people viewing and listening from hearing what was taking place, but that also creates another problem. The problem will be and could be this. By doing that, the records of the Parliament, the Hansard, would be impaired. Because if they were not allowed on the mics, it will not appear on the broadcasts, which come thereafter, will then appear at the sitting and thereafter, and may present difficulties for the Hansard writers who actually write up the records of the Parliament. So in a way, you've subverted the records of the Parliament. And those records will now never reflect the truth of what happened in that House today. By preventing the people's elected representatives from speaking in the Parliament, I say the PNM has declared war on our democracy. They have declared war on our democracy. At his press conference afterwards, the Prime Minister raised 3 blatant fallacies. One, the motion being 1 page. You hear lie? That is a lie. It is not true. He said the opposition presented no facts. That is also a lie. Let me frontally rebut these fallacies. The motion, 1-pager. if the Prime Minister bothered to read the standing orders, having served in the Parliament for over 3 decades, he would know, he should know, that there is a word limit on motions before the Parliament. That's according to the standing orders. So what you do, you present the grounds, you present the particulars in the motion, and then in the debate you expand on those. That happens in a court of law. Lawyers file their pleadings. The pleadings contain the facts, the grounds, and particulars of those grounds. And then when you go to court, you make the submissions. The Parliament, by the way, is the highest court of our land. And this is it. We presented the motion as provided by standing orders, 250 words, all prepared. We were to debate the full facts and issues that arise. So, you know, it's always said it's not about the length, it's about the substance of the motion. And it was a very important constitutional matter, very substantial matter of grave, high constitutional importance that was being dealt with. Second, that we presented no facts. We were denied the opportunity to present our arguments. In law, the tribunal, be voted in favor of the motion, has had the constitutional function to find facts. That's what the tribunal we were seeking to have established would do. That's their job. They will interview people, they will seek to ascertain what are the facts, what really happened. They summon people before them, maybe the Speaker, maybe the President, maybe the Prime Minister, maybe any other high official, Madam Bliss herself, would be summoned to determine the facts. So the judicial goes to the Parliament, we talk, something material could have happened. That did not transpire today. So, look, I won't talk about incompetence and being guided by a very fumbling Attorney General, but they don't seem to understand what the Constitution says. Breaching on several occasions the very standing orders of the House that the Speaker is bound to uphold. We saw that parody there, that travesty of parliamentary proceedings happening today. Let's start with announcement by the Speaker. First of all, the document we were sent by Speaker, from the Speaker and the Clerk, at the top of it, it says, this sitting is for the purpose of dealing with the Section 36 motion. On such an extraordinary motion, no other business is to be transacted. None. No other business. Yet the Speaker chose to make this long announcement and then gave us no opportunity to respond. It was not an announcement. That's not an announcement. That was a statement by the Speaker. That was the first breach. Statement by the Speaker. And that announcement has turned out to be a death announcement, which tells us about the death of democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. Rules were abused by this lengthy statement, disguised as an announcement, with no opportunity to rebut or reply. In spite of our strong objections, the Speaker railroaded the process, silencing the opposition. So let's look. What's the factual matrix? What has brought us here to where we are today, to this very unfortunate place? I want to say at the outset, it brings me no joy for us to have proposed this motion, to initiate the process to remove the President. I have been in Parliament for over 27 years now, and I have never seen it fit to bring such a motion of what people call impeachment of the President. I have never done it before. We have not done it. And it brings me no joy, and I want to make this point, This is not about woman to woman, because there's some who are trying to make it out as an issue as women versus women. This is an issue of high constitutional importance about the officers of the highest offices in the land. So let's not make a gender issue of this matter. It has to do with properly functioning high constitutional offices, and that is the only issue I have. I've said before, I have the greatest respect for the very distinguished former Justice of Appeal, who happens to be our President at the time. So let's not go there. Let's not get distracted with a gender issue. I remember, how proud I was when, as a woman, when I signed the nomination paper of retired Justice Paul Weeks to be elected the first President of our House, of our Republic. And at that time, I convinced and influenced my other members, and we co-signed that nomination paper. We were all very proud. So it brings me no joy that we are at this impasse now. Understand the office of the President is at the apex, at the very top of our constitutional structure. What does it mean? We are creatures of the Constitution under our type of democracy here, parliamentary democracy. And the structure of that is at the top of it is the office of the President. Thereafter, the office of the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, because a cabinet must have an AG to be a duly constituted cabinet, and then you come down to the rest of us in the opposition and so on. So, President sits at the top of that pyramid structure. It was created in our 1976 Republican Constitution, whereby we placed a citizen chosen by our Parliament to be head of state of our republic. This office was meant to be independent from party politics and a unifying force to create that balance that we so need between opposing forces. The President is a head of state and commander-in-chief of our armed forces. Great responsibilities indeed. Such is the power of this office that no act of Parliament can become law in our country until the President assents to it. That is the power of the President. It is therefore an office based on the highest moral, spiritual, and legal issues, legal values, moral, spiritual values, and of course legal underpinnings. This office requires uncompromising integrity based on the principles of transparency, fairness, accountability in the interests of good governance. As high as this office may be, though, the office of the President is subject to the supreme law of the land, our Constitution. No one is above the law. When there is evidence that the President may have conspired with others to breach the Constitution, then our democracy becomes fractured. It represents a clear and present danger to the sacred values upon which our forefathers have built our nation, built our Constitution. There's an expression, you know, and I don't mean it offensively, just figuratively. They say that the fish rots from the head. The fish rots from the head. And when it is that the highest officers in the land act in concert and conspiracy, some would say, in this manner, then we are fracturing our Constitution and endangering our very fragile young democracy. When the Speaker and the government stifles a debate that was designed by the Constitution to provide an opportunity for the conspirators to explain their actions and account for their roles in breaching the Constitution, we know that we are in the midst of a galloping dictatorship. We as MPs, we took oaths of office to uphold the Constitution and the law. We are satisfied that we have discharged that sacred duty responsibly in attempting to hold the President accountable to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We will not allow them to sweep this conspiracy under the Parliament carpet. They fail to realize that they have lost the moral authority and constitutional legitimacy to govern. They have compromised the Parliament itself to protect their dark secrets and meetings. We had intended to subject this conspiracy to the light of the Parliament. We intended to show how secret meetings between these high office holders and the fact that the President refused to identify with whom these meetings were held was a violation of the Constitution and a violation of the rule of law. We intended to raise in Parliament the contradictions and inconsistencies arising from some statements in the public domain. I will just note a few of them. The disintegration of the Police Service Commission, since its chair met with the President and some other high unnamed anonymous shadowy high official. The failure of the President to send the order of merit list for the Commissioner of Police to the Parliament. The sudden unexplained withdrawal of that list and the consequent matters that unfolded. The lacuna in the office of the Commissioner of Police and the destructive impact on the police service at a time of rising crime. We are now in a time of rising crime without a police service commission, substantive, a commission of police, without a service commission too, without a commissioner of police, without deputy commissioner of police, and on top of that, three deputy commissioners Commissioners were wiped out as well, so we only have one remaining. Only one has been left as a result of the ruling. So we don't have the 3 deputies. We don't have the Assistant Commissioner of Police. We don't have the Commissioner of Police, and no Service Commission to appoint any one of them, or to even appoint, to bring matters to the Parliament. I continue. The infamous email from Roger Cable Singh to members of the Service Commission, and the leak of that email. The conflicting evidence filed in various court matters by the DPA, Director of Personnel Administration, the President herself, and the Police Service Commission. I've set these out previously, and we will continue so to do, but the inconsistencies, the discrepancies, I said the maths just not matching. They each seem to have their own stories as to what happened, how it happened, and why it happened. The Prime Minister's futile and dangerous attempt to shout down this crisis from the political platform. The interconnected web of lies, deceit, and hypocrisy that links the nation's 3 highest offices, President, Prime Minister, and the Attorney General. The dark secret that is at the heart of the plot to subvert the constitutionally sanctioned procedure for the appointment of a Commissioner of Police. The Rowley press conference on the 16th of October 2021. The statement of the President published on the 17th October 2021. The President's letter of 12 August 2021 in response to an official pre-action letter. All of these persons have different stories. Question, which one is the truth? And of course, if we had succeeded in the debate, tribunal set up, that tribunal would have been able to assist us in determining, discovering the truth in all of these affairs. The government prevented an investigation of this matter by the Chief Justice and 4 of our most senior judges. I think that tribunal of these persons would have helped us to establish the truth. We are still in doubt as to what really happened at President's house. What are they hiding and why? If you had nothing to hide, if no wrongdoing took place, why didn't you allow the debate in the Parliament? I think that's a very serious question to be answered. What are you hiding? And why are you hiding it? You should have come clean to the nation. Come clean in the Parliament and tell us what it is that you don't want discovered, what it is you do not want the population to know. You owe a duty, a sacrosanct duty to the people of the land. Both the Prime Minister and the President have stated boldly that they will not reveal their secret meeting in the President's house, and they expect the public to have confidence in their best intentions, to have confidence in all of these circumstances. All 19 elected MPs wrote to Her Excellency on the 8th October 2021, asking her to provide pertinent information to dispel her reported role in interference with the selection process of a Commissioner of Police. So wait, we didn't just reach the Section 36 motion, you know. We gave the President, we heard all the cries out in the public, John public, where people were calling for answers to questions. And no answers were forthcoming, or very vague, evasive answers, opaque. And then I said, well, let us give the President an opportunity to answer. Let's give her that. She deserves that, in all fairness and justice. So we wrote to Her Excellency on the 8th October 2021, all 19 of us, asking her to give us pertinent information to dispel her reported role and that of Rowley or anyone else in this matter, in this mess with the Police Service Commission. By a delayed response, Her Excellency wrote to me on the 13th October 2021, and again deliberately dodged the specific questions put to her regarding her involvement in the events at President's house and high public officials. So we asked these questions in writing. We got the response 13th October, and again, no answers forthcoming. None were forthcoming. And that is when, on the 14th October, we filed the Section 36 motion. So we did give that opportunity to Her Excellency. And the letter that she replied, in reply of the 13th October, ended curiously, I would say, and I quote, "If and when I decide to speak on these issues, you need not fear that it will be done using glib semantics or legal posturing. It will not be done using glib semantics or legal posturing. I will, as you advise, use simple language. If and when I decide to speak on these issues, you need not fear that it will be done using glib semantics or legal posturing. I will, as you advise, use simple language. That's how the letter ended, the response. We caucused, we discussed, the opposition MPs, we took the oath to uphold the Constitution and the law, and took the decision to use the only mechanism available to us to have a full inquiry into this matter by way of a tribunal being established to investigate the matter. That's the only mechanism in the law of our land that we have, which was a Section 36 motion, and that is where we went. A decision to trigger Section 36 of the Constitution, it is not a light decision to take. So we listened attentively to the national conversation before we took that decision. We listened to the calls from many who wanted answers, straight answers and not more questions. Before we filed the motion, we responsibly discharged our duty to bring these matters to the population's attention. We made public appeals to those high office holders to provide answers to our citizens, questions to account for the actions, and to restore public confidence in institutions which are supposed to be independent. Unfortunately, those calls fell on deaf ears. So we wrote to her, and then the rest is now history. After writing to her for answers, receiving none of substance, we filed a Section 36 motion October 14, 2021. The provisions of Section 36 provide the only effective mechanism to hold a president to account by a tribunal seeking to find out, to discover the truth of the matter. Should we have gone the other route of an ordinary debate, which the Prime Minister, I think, suggested in Parliament, and others have been suggesting we should have gone with an ordinary motion, what is known as a substantive motion under the standing orders, what would have happened given the traditional restrictions of such a motion? All we would have done in there is they talk, we talk, they talk, we talk, back and forth we talk, and at the end of it, nothing would happen. And so that can never be a substitute for the Section 36 mechanism, because at the end of that mechanism, should it go in a particular way, not only we talk, they talk, them talk, at the end of that would have been a tribunal, the possibility of a tribunal being established to investigate the facts and try to come to the truth. I want to repeat the point I made previously, that no amount of editorials, no amount of commentators, no amount of opinions of so-called experts can ever substitute for the Section 36 mechanism or force an unwilling president to come clean with the population. I've just explained, we talk, they talk, no amount of these things. The parliamentarians are the only person who could trigger the establishment of a tribunal to investigate. As MPs, we have done what we believe to be our duty under the Constitution. I want you to remember that the presidency is not a sacred cow, and we have moved far beyond the divine right of kings or queens, for that matter, far from that. And therefore, accountability and transparency are of vital importance in good governance. I raise the issue now, why no debate? Why no debate? We are of the considered view that the guidelines issued by the Speaker to shut down the debate are illegal, they are unconstitutional, null and void, and of no effect. And this is why in the Parliament today, I said the opposition is participating under protest in these proceedings. We made it very clear that we do not agree with the legality of these unilateral guidelines that were put forward by the Speaker. So these guidelines were put forward, as I say, formulated by the Speaker and put forward without the input of the Electoral College. And I don't want to go into too much law, but within the law, within the framework of the very Section 28 of the Constitution that the Speaker used to ground her guidance, within that very law, Section 28(4) of the Constitution says, it says that the Electoral College shall regulate its procedure. It didn't say the Speaker, not just one-man show. It says a college, meaning all of us. And there's a procedure for us to come to guidelines, or rules if you want to call them, for the conduct of a Section 36 motion. I said before, we have the strong opinion that the Parliament is the place for debates, And the Electoral College is the place for such a debate of Section 36. It seems that the guidelines, and therefore the Speaker, that they have forgotten the origin of the word Parliament. It comes from the French word parler, and parler means to talk, to speak. They've forgotten that, and therefore shut down and came forward with no debate. Nowhere in the Constitution says that there shall be no debate on the motion. We also said the Speaker had no authority to do a one-man job, unilaterally make any rules and guidelines for this joint sitting to prevent a debate. Speaker purported to use Section 28, and I've just explained to you what that says, to give herself the power to make guidelines for the Electoral College. Section 28 requires that any regulations made must be approved by the Electoral College. I repeat that point, not by the Speaker in a one-man show. The College must approve the regulations. I said that the Speaker is wrong. I don't know who her legal advisors are, but when she was reading the statement today, or the announcement statement, whatever it was, a statement disguised as an announcement, I heard some words that pointed to our very incompetent Attorney General, reminded me of his kind of language. So I don't know who is guiding her, the Honourable Speaker. Speaker is wrong. The guidelines are ultra-vires the Constitution, ultra-vires all standing orders, and therefore illegal. So that whole proceeding there took place under illegal guidelines. This motion also further is not a procedural matter. That was the answer all the time. How could this be a procedural matter? You know what a procedural matter is? When the leader of government business gets up from time to time and says, I want to extend the speaking time of the Prime Minister. In one like that, there is no debate, no voting. A procedural motion is when they want to cut down the time of speaking. They get up and say, oh, COVID, your speaking time is reduced. When they want to adjourn the House before time or after time, those are procedural matters. This is not a procedural matter. How can you get it so wrong? This is a substantial constitutional motion brought under Section 36 of the Constitution. It could never be a procedural matter. Could never be a procedural matter where we are calling for the establishment of a tribunal to remove the President from office. How can that be procedural? Again, we strongly disagree with that position. To equate the process of referring the President to a tribunal cannot be equated with a privilege motion. So it's not a procedural motion, and then they're using the excuse, oh, it's like a privilege motion. A privilege motion is where we come and we say we have lost confidence. Sorry, someone has lied to the Parliament. That's a privilege motion, and that happened recently. When the Attorney General stood up and lied about me saying my family got contracts or housing or rentals or something, he was trying to justify his own over 50-plus recusals and of family members getting rentals, and said, well, okay, the member of Sapari, when she was Prime Minister, they got to. He lied. Not for the first time. Lied. And we filed a privilege motion, which is, again, a motion that goes to the Speaker for adjudication. So when we file it, Speaker keeps it for a few days, reads it, and then the Speaker comes and makes a ruling without any debate. Without any debate. This clearly cannot be that kind of motion, a privilege motion. That conclusion is misguided and erroneous. Government has used on multiple occasions the majority in the House to railroad the Parliament. Recently, government had extended the speaking time of the Prime Minister to campaign during the debate for an election that he desperately wants to win, he wanted to Tobago. I want you to remember, this is the same Speaker who refused to allow us to debate the COVID-19 pandemic on several occasions. Do you all remember that? On several occasions when we raised the matter for debate, no, not important. Not important. You cannot do it. Since then, we have had over 54,000 positive cases and more than 1,600 people dying from this COVID. Our condolences to families who have lost their loved ones. I read a very interesting editorial. It said that the public interest would have been better served by allowing a debate on a motion, even if there is no such law which prohibits that debate. So this editorial was saying, and some commentators saying that, well, the Constitution is silent as to whether debate or no debate. Assuming, but not admitting that that is the situation, the editorial from the Express, I believe it was, says that where there is no law to prohibit the debate, public interest would have been better served by allowing the debate. I was also very interested to read the last line of that said editorial, and I quote, presidential politics too is not a cloistered virtue. Presidential politics too is not a cloistered virtue. Furthermore, the appearance of bias and clear conflicts of interest tainted this morning's proceedings in the Red House. The Speaker's chairing of the proceedings made it a farce and a masquerade, since she herself was conflicted, as had set out before, in her previous role as AG. The Speaker was responsible for drafting the 2009 order, which was struck down by the court. And that is one of the pillars which has, or one of the weapons, which has resulted in having no commissioner of police, no acting commissioner, no deputy commissioner, etc., the mess that we are in. But even more worrying is the fact that independent Senator Shari Prasad, sister of the disgraced chairman of the Police Service Commission, Bliss Prasad, this lady came bold-faced today in the Parliament. Bold-faced and in breach of the standing orders too, voted in favor of the government today against the motion. It is preposterous. You are the sister. How much closer can you be? How much more conflicted can you be? A serious conflict of interest on the part of the senator, and breach the standing orders by not declaring her interest, and then proceeded to vote. Did not declare her interest. That's my sister, you know. I must have a bias. That's what conflict of interest means. There'll be a bias. Did not declare that interest, and then proceeded to vote. How many times Faris Al-Rawi, Mr. Al-Rikus and myself, when there were family matters before the cabinet, did what? Declared his interest and left her. How many times, Todd Young? We found that over 210 times people have recused themselves from the cabinet because of conflict of interest, and over 19 ministers have engaged in that practice, which we totally disagree with, by the way. This is not about advantaging people who can't get a hamper and can't feed their families, whilst they, as I say, left foot, right foot, dancing all the way to the bank. That's what it is. You know, the realpolitik, it is there. It's staring us in our face. It's a stark reality to come to terms with. And this lady, the goodly lady, chose not to declare her interest, stood there shamelessly, and voted in these proceedings. We all called for her repeatedly, you all would have seen, for her to state her interest and recuse herself. But some people just have no shame, none whatsoever. History will judge them. I remind you today of the maxim, justice must not only be done, but be seen to be done. Justice must not only be done, but be seen to be done. Now I come to another issue, all still related in this tangled web. Why is the Prime Minister hiding beneath the petticoats of these ladies? Why is the Prime Minister hiding behind underwear of petticoats of these ladies? Why? Why? Why is he hiding? What do you have to hide? Why are you pushing these people? You have compromised their offices. Be man and man up. While you want to condemn me and the women and we fighting. No, it is you. You are the center of this crisis, Prime Minister. Man up to it and don't push the ladies in front of you to protect yourself. You have the President there, push her in the front to take the fall. You had the Speaker now, push her in front there. Poor lady was so beleaguered today, you could see it on her face, with all the questions about the process. And where's the Prime Minister? Sitting there for over 3 hours, totally dumb. Not a word did he say. Whilst the battering that's taking place on these women, I condemn him for that. And don't come and tell me about women and bad-talking women, man. You're the last man to talk about ill-speaking women. You're the last man in this country. And I condemn you for that. And I feel so sorry for these ladies, you know. They're both brilliant in their own right, but they're being used as a shield, as shields to protect the Prime Minister and his government and his high officials. So he now hides behind the Speaker's robes, petticoat, bold-facedly tell the nation that he will never reveal the secrets of that conspiracy, what transpired, which high official. But the President too has said the same thing, hasn't she? They're not going to tell us. They will not tell us. The Prime Minister shamelessly put his women MPs, you know. I don't know if it's a new thing, you know. You know, they said, Women, men, we stand together. As women, we hold up half the sky. The men hold up the other half together as the human race. Under the grace of God, that's what we are. We hold up together. Did you see what they did today? So in terms of pushing these ladies out front, the President and the Speaker, what did they do today? to do the bidding of the rowdy government. The EBC, as we know, is there to ensure fair elections. So it's a cancer that could spread, or it's like the virus. The virus is infecting every high office in our land, infecting every rowdy virus. It's infecting everything that we require for an independent democratic nation. So I close now, as I say, today's vote kept in the dark. The involvement of the office of the Prime Minister, the office of the President, interfering with the submission by the Service Commission of the Order of Merit List. Today's vote kept in the dark, and I say this democracy dies in darkness. So that vote kept these things from coming to light. Today's vote kept in the dark. Why was the Order of Merit List submitted 11th August to President to appoint a top cop immediately withdrawn? Why? Why? Trini's like to talk about cut a ball. You give somebody something and take it back. Today's vote kept in the dark. What authority the President acted upon to hand back the list which was given by the Service Commission. Today's vote kept in the dark. Why the Prime Minister lost confidence in Gary Griffith. Today's vote kept in the dark. The explanation that despite the Prime Minister losing confidence in Griffith, the 2021 order was drafted by the AG to allow Mr. Griffith to act as the Commissioner of Police. You lost confidence since last year. But here the AG brings to the Parliament, and the parliamentarians all vote in favor of it, as the case may be. And that new order, the recent order, that order was designed to allow Gary Griffith to become Commissioner and no Deputy Commissioner. It was designed for that. Because which other contract officer is there in the police service who would have applied for that job? Which one? So why you lost confidence last year? What happened? Is there a disconnect in your cabinet? Is there a disconnect? Are there factions? And that's what we've been told. Because why would you lose confidence as Prime Minister? But then your AG brings an order to the Parliament to allow that same Griffith, being a contract officer, to be appointed. Why? Why? What's going on? Today's vote kept in the dark. The plot to remove Mr. Griffith by the government. So first you had a plot to keep him, and then there was a plot to remove him. All the shenanigans thereafter, and going to court and striking down the various orders. Today's vote was not only for being able to uncover the truth of these serious matters, but was also about ensuring that the sacred principles of our Constitution remain intact and burning bright. Those sacred principles rest on the idea that governments must serve the people and not the other way around. No one in the land is above the law. Not the opposition leader, not the Prime Minister, not the President, not the Speaker, not the Attorney General. No one is above the law. Going into this battle, I know that government will do all they could to extinguish the lights of transparency and accountability. Today was about discharging our duty as parliamentarians under the Constitution to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the oath which we took on becoming parliamentarians. The opposition will continue to defend the Constitution and our democratic principles. The people of our country will never allow the lights of democracy to be extinguished by tyrants, bullies, and dictators. The opposition which I lead, and have an honor so to do, will continue the struggle for accountability and social justice. Try as he might, Prime Minister Rowley cannot hide the truth from the people of our country. It was Her Excellency, if you recall, when she gave her address, her inauguration address, when she became President, she reminded us of the scripture which taught the importance of light. And this is what she said then, and I remind you of them. Confront the darkness and declare that it will not take over. It is a tenet of most major religions that light triumphs over darkness. As your servant, she continues, my promise is that I will work tirelessly. I'll labor night and day to do my best by word and deed, both to be a light and spread the light of others at every opportunity. Today I say to the national community that what is done in darkness will eventually come to light. Additionally, we say that we are in October, and I want to remind you the opposition will stand and remain in defense of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, in defense of their rights. We will continue to call for transparency and accountability. And today, in October, we announce the beginning of an October revolution in Trinidad and Tobago to defend the rights of citizens and the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you all very much, and I'm open to your questions.
Sorry.
Can we, without gender bias, we could take the lady first?
Thank you so much, Shane. You made reference to an editorial that said the Constitution is silent on the issue of debating the motion for the president.
Sunday, today.
Do you agree with that statement? And if not, can you point us to where in the Constitution that said that we can have a debate on the motion?
I can do that, ma'am, but it is not a 1 minute answer. So that to do that, I have to go into so much legalese, which I'll do on another day. So for the moment, I would prefer to leave it at that. That is the view of that editorial. We have a different view, and as I say, too much legalese to go into at this moment.
Really quickly, you did say that you prefer the president not continue to nominate people to the political
Yes,
office
until the air is cleared.
Until the air is cleared. Where does that leave us now? Because she has nominated some certain persons. So how are you all going to deal with those names that have been nominated so far, and where does that leave us?
Well, those names will go before the Parliament for affirmative resolution of the Parliament. Means it must be debated in the Parliament, and the government has a simple majority. Their numbers, all you need is a simple majority. I have indicated, Her Excellency, that the opposition will not participate in supporting these. I am saying they're good men and women. There's some of them, they're very great. They want to serve, they're patriots and so on. But we do believe that they will be tainted. There will always be that distrust as to accountability, partisanship, that's it. That there may be issues of partisanship. I have already written indicating that matter. We'll see how it goes, but it will come to Parliament.
Hi, good afternoon. Shane's Public Newsroom newspaper.
Shane?
Given all of the developments that I've seen in and out of the Parliament today, where does the opposition stand in all of this, and what is the way forward? What's the next course of action?
Well, we will certainly consider our options. We've already considered some of them. We will not give up. We will not give up on this issue or any other transparency issues. As I say, we begin an October revolution. We do have plans and strategies, which I will share with you on another occasion.
And you expound a little bit on what you mean by October?
Can we? Yes. Can we get? It seems that page was left out. The October revolution matter. Can you please bring it for me? Which is, we will continue to stand and defend our democracy. We will continue to stand and defend legally, in Parliament, outside the Parliament, on the pavement, wherever it may be, to protect the rights of our citizens and our democracy. There will be strategies, shall I tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which will manifest in due course. But we will not stop at this point. And that's the issue of the October revolution.
You would have raised an issue with not just the President, but during today's proceedings as well as Speaker of the House. Going forward with any parliamentary business, how is this going to affect how things are done? Because clearly there seems to be some major disagreement between the opposition and the Speaker itself.
Yeah. Well, we'll take, as the good Lord tells us, one day at a time. But with respect to the proceedings today, those proceedings we were saying we will participate in under protest, because the guidelines issued unilaterally by the Speaker are illegal. And that is why in that process today we believe that the way in which the debate was to be conducted, who did what, who didn't do what, why, where, illegally, was being illegally done. That may not necessarily impact on other days of the parliamentary proceedings. We have the ordinary standing orders that will inform behavior in those future proceedings.
I know you would, well, this last question from me. I know that during the initial part of the press conference, you would have explained what you hope to achieve through the motion, which is to raise questions and so on the the allegations that were brought to the public. But there were also some questions as what exactly outside of that you hope to achieve in that okay, assuming a debate was had, there would have been a tribunal set up? Was
No,
that
no,
in any-
no, no. We would have had to approve the motion, then to allow the tribunal to be set up.
That establishment of the tribunal,
Yeah.
would that have affected, would the debate have affected that tribunal and its investigations in any way?
Sure. Let me put it this way. You bring 70-something of us, or over 70 of us, big men and women, someone to come and sit there to vote on a motion without providing these over 70 men and women with the reasons, the reasons why they should vote yes or no. We had no opportunity to convince members who may have had doubts that they should vote yes or no. And that, I think, was a great travesty of the proceedings of the Parliament. That's what we hope to achieve, that to be able to convince persons to vote for the establishment of the tribunal. Tribunal will then go off and investigate the matter fully. That did not happen. I'm not sure if that answers your question. There's another issue there, you know, Shade, and it is this. The Speaker breached her own rules, and the rules she was using to ground her guidelines on, which is the vote, and we raised it several times today, that under the rules she was using, under the sections of the law that she used to ground her guidelines, it says the Electoral College, and this is Legal Notice 187 of 1976, which is electoral rules for the college, Electoral College, and it says such a vote should be done in secret. We raised it several times today, but no, the open vote. And when you saw that open vote, it was like speeding, and it might have the word speeding on a racetrack, galloping down the racetrack. People didn't even get to register properly their votes and so on. So that's one of the issues with it. And when you have a secret vote, it is a greater opportunity or inducement for a conscience vote. But when you have to vote openly, I mean, look, you have 9 senators appointed by the president. If they have to vote openly, seriously, without disrespect to them, what are they going to do? But if you have a secret vote, nobody will know who voted for what. That's why even for the Electoral College, that is the law, secret vote. We called for that again, didn't happen, didn't happen. Have we found the document, please? Yes, go ahead. Someone else, please. Yeah, yes.
I'll let you go first. As far as from using Savant, my question is, why didn't you bring the motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister where you could have reviewed everything she said there?
Why did I what?
Bring the motion.
Why did I bring?
Not bringing.
Why you didn't
Oh, sorry, ma'am, I'm sorry. Why I did not bring a motion in the Prime Minister? It's coming. It's coming. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Opposition leader, so in grievances to you again. We saw a very combative atmosphere in the Parliament this morning, and I guess we're going through a very, acrimonious period in our politics.
Do you have a
Is
pen,
there
please?
opportunity for
Yeah.
mediation or, I don't know, a coming together of the government?
Thank you. All right, it's okay. There is always hope for the future. There is always hope. I am always open. I have repeatedly tried in matters that are of great importance to have this coming together. We did it under Mr. Manning's government. I always say Mr. Manning is a saint compared to these people here now. We did it when crime was at an all-time high. I was a member of that committee from the opposition side, and Mr. Manning's team, and we met when the crime was really high. And that's somehow some of these matters came about, to remove the veto of a Prime Minister for appointment for a Commissioner of Police, blah, blah, blah. We did it then. There was another time, once again, when there was a crisis with the appointments of people to the judiciary. I asked to meet, the Prime Minister did meet me then, one-on-one. And then with the COVID, very early, I said, look, let's get together, let's work, this is too horrifying. No partisan interest. What happened? Rejected and rebuffed. So certainly in my respectful view, we in the opposition have tried, when serious issues arise, for that, to have that happen. The government under Prime Minister Rowley seems to have a different view. And it was shared, very early by one Sham Fukujo, when the Parliament first met. We are in charge now. Take that, or some words like that. But we are always open to anything that could improve the quality of life and the safety and security of our citizens.
The allegations of interference, are already very serious. It has been raised if there was any evidence to go along with this, and why wasn't it brought in the motion itself? I don't know if there's anything you'd like to respond to.
Sure. Well, Shane, with due respect, evidence doesn't have to go into a motion. The evidence is provided, again, in your submissions and in debate. It's not a requirement, as simple as I can see. And you say, well, if we have it now, why don't we give it to you now? I'm just carrying forward, not disrespecting you. Why don't we do it now? Well, look, did we even know, when this thing started, did we even know that was 2 lists? Did we even know, like, it's 2 dates and 2 meetings, one 11th, one on the 12th? Did we know that there was a substantive list for the top cup? And then another list for acting? Did we know? So what happens in the darkness will come to light. Sometimes it takes a little longer, sometimes it comes sooner. I am totally convinced. I say God is great. What happens in the secret and in the darkness will come to light, and we will find that out as we proceed. Oh, can I remind you, the last time, yes, thank you. The last time I brought a no confidence in a prime minister, in 2010, the government fell. So it's coming in due course. Can I deal with the issue of the October Revolution now? Is that okay? I'm saying this matter will be kept alive long after today, until the truth is revealed. We will take it on to the people as an October Revolution, as you know happened in other countries, when our constitution has been defeated. The Prime Minister will find no rock large enough to hide under, or no robe thick enough to protect him from the firestorm that will come his way as a wage for shredding our sacred constitution. So we will keep this issue and others alive. I'm open to any other questions, Shane, or any of you.
Just to kind of segue away from all of the issues we have seen today, yesterday the Minister of Education would have announced that as of January, students from forms 4, 5, and 6, whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated, will be allowed to return to in-person classes. You know, as a former Minister of Education yourself. From Monday. My bad. As a former Minister of Education yourself, is there anything you'd like to say in response to that?
Well, what is the question, please? Sorry.
Yeah, the announcement we would have had.
Based on the announcement, 4 to 6 forms returning to school?
You know, whether vaccinated or unvaccinated, they are allowed to return to physical in-person classes.
Okay, well, I will not just deal with the issue of the children. I will deal with the whole issue of mandatory vaccines. We have made it very, very clear. We are not in favor of mandatory vaccines. We do believe it is an issue of the choice of the person, and we should not be mandated that you must take the vaccine in order to live. You must take the vaccine in order to eat. You must take the vaccine in order to go to school. I am a parent. Some of you may be parents as well, and there are some parents who are mortally afraid to have their children vaccinated. That should be between the parents or the individual and their God. A God, the one God. That is between them to go forward and make a decision. Should I vaccine? Should my child vaccine? I think it should be left to individual choices.
Let's be clear on position leader. All students from 4 to 6 are required to come back out to school on Monday vaccinated.
Yes.
And from January, forms 1 to 3 will be allowed to come back out. So
Vaccinated or not vaccinated?
Vaccinated and unvaccinated, all students.
Yeah.
So what they're doing, so from Monday, no online classes for children from 4 to 6. 1 to 3 is online, but from Monday, 4 to 6, no online classes. Everybody comes back to school, vaccinated or unvaccinated.
Is there a question?
Well, no, because you were answering on
Shane.
mandatory vaccines,
Yes.
but they're not being mandated to be vaccinated. So
Well,
I
that-
just wanted to clarify.
Sure.
the answers.
That was the initial,
Okay.
that's what they first started doing, and now they're relaxing, as it were, that kind of mandate. We will have to see how it plays out. We will have to see, and we'll have to take decisions as we go along. Should it turn out that it becomes worse, should it turn out it becomes better, it will allow future decisions to be made. So we'll have to basically monitor, watch, wait, and see. No, that was very pleasant. Thank you all very much. God bless. Thank you very much.